This review has been made possible by Toyota of Naperville. As you know, Toyota has tons of brand new Toyotas available for purchase. But did you know that they also have a remarkable selection of used cars? Head on over to toyotaofnaperville.com and look through hundreds of used cars for sale right now. Alright, what's up guys? My name is Zach and today I'm driving a 2015 Audi Q7. Up front is a 3.0 liter supercharged V6 and down below is an 8-speed automatic transmission. This video is sponsored by CarMarshal.com. If you'd like to support the channel, click the link down in the description below. CarMarshal.com advertises for over 100,000 vehicles across the US. But let's get back to that 3.0 liter supercharged V6. Well, this is not the first time that Audi has used this engine and everything. This is actually a pretty common setup that they use the 3.0 liter supercharged V6. I've driven a couple other cars with this same engine setup and I always love it, but this is a large SUV. The Q7 is one of the largest SUVs that they've offered, and so let's get it on the test track, get it warmed up, and we'll see how the 3.0 supercharged does with such a heavy car. All right, it's fully warmed up, 3.0 liter supercharged. It definitely gets up and moves. It definitely gets up and moves, but not with as much aggression as it does in the smaller cars. Like I drove an A6 that had the same engine. It doesn't quite move like that. However, it still definitely moves. And I don't think I can say moves anymore. It's a quick SUV. It's not going to be fast. You're not going to, see a WRX on the highway and do a highway pull and make him want to sell his car. You're not going to be breaking any records at Great Lakes Dragway. However, if you're going to pay a premium price like you would with this vehicle, you do get premium performance. It's not a 2-liter turbo. It's not sluggish. It's not, I don't know if I can merge, or I don't know if I can pass this car on the highway. You can pass them. You can merge. You can do everything you need to do, and that's the luxury of power. Or power of luxury. Like I said, paired to it is an 8-speed automatic transmission. Nothing really too crazy there. You can shift it if you want. It's not really anything too special. My mind isn't blown or anything. It's a very well working transmission, but I haven't felt anything weird. I haven't gone through any weird things with it. I'm not praising it. I'm not hating on it. It's just, it is what it is. Last but not least, the Q7 is all-wheel drive. So let's talk about the interior. Well, in front of me, I have a couple different gauges. On the far left is my coolant temperature and then my tachometer. In the center, I do get a display screen, which we'll talk about in a second. And on the right, I have my speedometer and my fuel on the very far right. So getting back to that center screen, I can cycle through a couple different things. I have my audio options, looking at FM, AM stuff, my speed in digits, as well as the outside temperature, my cell phone notes, and then we're back to my audio options. It's very basic. I don't mind it. It's nothing wowing. I like it. It's a very clean display, and of course the gauges remind me a little bit of the R8 that I drove earlier this year. On the steering wheel on the left, I have my selector for that gauge screen, as well as my heated steering wheel, which when I turn on steering wheel heating on, has a little exclamation point. It really wants you to know. Heated steering wheel is on! Yeah! Then on the right, I do have my navigation information.
Is not active.
What was that?
Navigation is not active.
Okay. And my volume, things like that. To the left of me, I do have my headlight switches, as well as my fog light switches, and all of that jazz. And on the door, I have my lock and unlock blind spot monitoring on and off, my window switches, and child locks. Interestingly enough, I can lock either one of the sides, so I can actually only lock out either that window or that window, which is really interesting. I guess if you have one bad kid, you can lock them out, but not the others. In the center, I do get a little screen. This is a little bit outdated. Of course, it is 4 years old at this point, and so I can't knock it too hard, but it's a little bit of an outdated screen. But surrounding the screen, I have a bunch of interesting buttons. I do have parking sensors on and off. My gauge dimmer switches are actually to the right of the gauge instead of to the left, which is interesting. And then to the right of the screen, I have the power button, so I can actually turn the screen off, which is really nice, and it comes right back on. Valet mode, and then my glove box button. So the glove box actually doesn't have a handle. It just has a button to open it up, and I really like that. Then down below that, then we get our giant vents. They are very, very massive. And then our hazard and traction control buttons. Below that, we have a CD player, which just says Audi Multimedia, Audi. How do you guys pronounce it? Leave a comment. I always say Audi, but as a kid, I said Audi, however you pronounce it. And then we have our climate controls. Now, the interesting thing with the climate controls is the knobs. They look pretty standard, but if you look around them, there's the fan control, the directional control, and the heated seat control. And so what you do if you want to adjust any of those three is you tap that, the little inside bar lights up, and then you use the dial to adjust whatever it is. If you want to adjust the fan, you click the fan, then use the same dial you would use for the heated seats and direction. I think this is really great. I think it kind of declutters the instruments a little bit. It's kind of gimmicky. One switch doing three different things, I actually sort of like. And I think that's really cool, and it's intuitive. And once you figure out how to use it, it's very simple. And you don't have three different dials or three different giant buttons. You just have three smaller buttons with one singular dial. Then we have just a little tray, and we come to the shifter. The shifter is pretty standard Audi at this point. It's nothing really too crazy. I like it. It is sort of leather wrapped, has a leather shift boot as well. I think overall it looks pretty good. Then we have the selector for the center screen. Has decent feedback, and then there's also 4 different buttons that go with the buttons seen on screen, which change. It works pretty well. Like I keep saying, it feels pretty outdated, but it is 4 years old. But surrounding that selector, we have a bunch of different buttons for navigation, info, telephone, menu, radio, media, tone, and car. Right now we're on car. The interesting things we can look at, we can go to servicing and checks, tire pressure monitoring, service intervals, wiper service position off. You can actually put it into wiper service position. So it actually puts them up, which is really interesting. Turn that back off. We can look at the VIN number of this car. We can go back here. Vehicle settings, exterior lighting, interior lighting. That's just daytime running lights and stuff for exterior lighting. Driver assist, we have speed warning, parking aid, and Audi side assist. There's a lot of stuff going on here in the center screen with all of the controls down here. Now we got to talk about the seats. Like I mentioned, they are heated. Of course, they are power, but they are 6 different levels of heating. You can actually choose between 6 different levels, which is pretty vast, especially given the fact that this is essentially at this point 5-year-old car. 6 levels of heating is quite a bit. But they are nice and comfortable. They're exactly what I would expect out of a nicer SUV like this. They're not super aggressive. They're not overly plush or sloppy or feel like jello. They're just good, solid seats, and I can't complain too much. But speaking of seats, let's do a back seat review. Hey. All right, we're in the back of the 2015 Audi Q7. And I get 2 12-volt outlets back here, which is really nice. I do get heated seats as well. I get, 6 different heated seat options as well for the rear seats. I do have a little center console here. If I can try to dig it out. I'm pretty sure there's a center console. For some reason, it does not want to come out, and this is not my car, so I don't want to pry on it. But just take my word for it. There's a center console. There is also a 3rd row of seats. I will not be hopping back there because I am not feeling particularly acrobatic today. However, it's just 2 seats, and they have their own cup holders at the sides. I'll show you. The seats seem to be sad. I think they're emotionally embarrassed about something. But besides that, decent back seats. So that is the big draw of the Q7 over the Q5 or any other Audi SUV, is the fact that you get a 3rd row. But speaking of 3rd row, we'll hop back and take a look at the tailgate. Apologize for all the salt and whatnot, but we'll get back here. Obviously, these seats do fold down, so we'll do them like that. Tons and tons of space. 12-volt outlet down here. Absolutely great. Only one of them, though. You could do a privacy cover if you want. Overall, tons and tons of space. That second row goes down as well. Then essentially you have a flatbed van. Tie down straps, I mean the whole 9 yards. Definitely if you need to haul things and you're considering a Q5 or Q7, go Q7. Now we have to talk about the looks. I like the look. I definitely like the look of modern, more modern, newer Audis better, but I don't think that this is a bad looking SUV. I kind of actually like the look of it. I think it's classy and I think it's pretty reserved. You know, I've always thought that Audis aren't as showboaty as other luxury companies from Germany. I won't name any names, but you know who I'm talking about. They're not as showboaty, I feel like. Now, you might feel different about this, but I don't feel like they're as in my face, shouting, yelling down my throat as some other companies. I kind of like that. This is more reserved. I could see myself owning one of these and taking it to the store, taking it to school, taking it to work, and not really thinking all too much about it. You know, I feel like with more expensive, more highfalutin cars or vehicles, anytime you take it somewhere, there's a little bit of an expectation. I'm not quite sure what it is, and I'm sure it changes, but there's always a little bit of an expectation. I feel like there's no expectations for this car. Overall, I have to say I'm decently happy with the Q7. I think it's a good SUV. I like it. I really genuinely do like it. It's just nothing really jumps out at me. The engine is cool, but in this chassis, it's so heavy that it doesn't really do a whole lot. I like the 6-way adjustable seats. I like all of the comfort options. But besides that, it's nothing really too crazy. And so that's what makes this car a great secondhand market car, is the fact that now you can get a nice Audi for a fraction of the price because it's used. That is absolutely great, and I'd say that now this is a good value SUV. When new, not so sure, but now, for sure. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Huge thank you to Toyota of Naperville for allowing me to take out their used Audi Q7. A link to this car will be in the description below, as well as to Toyota's website. If Toyotas are not your thing, or if Audis are not your thing, they have over 400 cars in stock at all times. So you will absolutely find what you are looking for. I promise you that they have a vehicle that is right for you if this or Toyota is not your first pick. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Don't forget to rate the video, comment on the video, and subscribe if you really liked it. Take care, guys. Aside from my soul.